Greetings, Muppet fans. It's Ryan Dosier again, your good friend from the Muppet Mindset, and I'm here with my first ever video product review. And now we've had another product review by Dave Holteen with the Xbox Live Marketplace, but this is my first, so here we go. What am I reviewing, you might ask? Well, that's a good question because you do not know. Do I know? Yes, I know. I am reviewing Silly Bandz. Lots and lots of Muppet Silly Bandz. I hate these things. They're way too small on my wrists. But anyway, so we've got 3 series of Silly Bandz to go through and review, and we're just going to jump right into it because I have nothing else to say. Here we go. Series number 1. Here you go, up here for the camera so you can see it. Series number 1 contains Fozzie Bear, Statler, Waldorf, Pepe, the King Prawn, okay, and Animal. So here's a look at the Silly Bandz compared with the actual Muppets, and you can see how great they look. Of course that was sarcasm, because as you can see here with our first Silly Band of Fozzie, you can barely tell that it is Fozzie. If I had not told you it was Fozzie, I bet you wouldn't realize it, would you? I know I wouldn't. Well, up next we have Pepe, who looks a little bit better, considering. You can definitely tell that he has the head shape going on, and the hands, the arms. But still, it's not that distinguishable as Pepe, but he is one of the better ones. Our third one is Animal, and this one is actually one of my favorite Silly Bandz, because you can really, really tell that this is Animal. The pose is fantastic and fits the Silly Band form well. The only problem I have with it is that it is huge and it sort of just dangles on my wrist. And I have very large wrists. I don't know if that's some sort of innuendo. I don't mean it to be. Next up we have Statler and Waldorf. Kids' favorites. Every kid wants a Statler and Waldorf Silly Band. Look how bad these are. They're just little rectangles or a round old guy with a cane, I guess Waldorf has. Really, these are the 2 worst, so thankfully they don't get any worse than this, but they could have done a lot better with Statler and Waldorf here. I am not impressed. Alright, up next we have Series 2, up here for the camera. And Series 2 contains Miss Piggy, Gonzo, Swedish Chef, Rizzo, and Rolf. Now, Rolf, they included Rolf, which is incredible, odd choice. I would have gone with, well, I don't know who else I would have gone with, actually. They've covered all the main characters here. So Rolf is a pretty good choice. But here's a look at Rolf, and you can see he's just sort of a bunch of round shapes in an oval. Now, you can barely even tell he has ears. You can just see his little hand sticking out, saying, Rolf, Rolf the dog. But if you did not know it was Rolf, Rolf the dog, you would have no idea what this Silly Band was supposed to be. So, once again, not the best, but not as bad as Statler and Waldorf, right? Up next we have Gonzo, and Gonzo's nose has been put through the dryer because it has shrunk, or he's just gotten in a cold pool. Ha, that's a joke. Anyway, but other than that, it's a pretty good representation, I think. I mean, he's got his arms spread out. I guess Gonzo does that, at least in most publicity stills featuring Gonzo recently. His arms are out to make him look crazy, because everyone with their arms out looks crazy. But yeah, I mean, he's not the worst, but the nose is way too small, and it really kind of looks weird. Alright, up next we have Miss Piggy, and just so she won't karate chop me, she looks fantastic. No, but seriously, she does look pretty darn good, compared to the others. I mean, she's one of the smallest ones, which is odd. Oh dear, I'm gonna pay for that later. But, her hair is visible, her glove up in the air is nice, and the dress. I think Piggy's one of the better ones. Up next we have Rizzo. Now, Rizzo is, oddly enough, one of the biggest Silly Bandz offered here. He's bigger than Rolf, and Miss Piggy, and Gonzo. He's actually bigger than Statler and Waldorf. The only ones he's not bigger than are Kermit and Animal, which is the weirdest thing, but, I mean, I guess if they really wanted this shape of Rizzo, so they had to make it pretty big. And it's a decent shape. I mean, you can tell it's Rizzo, but I don't know why any kid would want to wear this rat on their hand. But maybe. I've been wrong before. Trust me. Up next we have the Swedish Chef, who is awesome again. He and Animal are my two favorites, actually, in all three sets. He's got the ladle and the hat, and it's definitely the Swedish Chef, and I really, really like this one. And I can tell that Animal and Swedish Chef are going to be two of the more popular silly bands between all the tweens. Between the tweens. Yeah, I just said that. Alright, up next we have series number 3. Series 3 we have Kermit, Bunsen, Beaker, Sam Eagle, and Sweetums. Now, let's take a look here, starting with Kermit. Kermit is, oddly enough, one of my least favorites. They picked a terrible pose because it's just really odd looking for Kermit. I mean, I suppose there weren't really many other good ones, at least distinct ones to choose from, but it seems to me they could have picked a better one. This one just looks very, very odd, and I don't like it. And it's very flimsy and not fitting well around the wrist, which I don't like. Bunsen is up next. He's round, rotund, as Bunsen tends to be. And, I mean, he's okay. He looks almost exactly like Rolf, which kind of bothers me because, I mean, they're two very distinctly different looking characters. But, I mean, I suppose as a representation of Bunsen, this silly band could have been a lot worse. Next, we have Beaker, who is actually another pretty good one. I mean, you can't exactly tell where his arm stops and his head begins, but they could have picked a worse pose to make a silly band out of. I actually like the Beaker one. So, the Leprechaun Brothers, Animal, Swedish Chef, and Beaker tend to have the best silly bands out there, so... But, unfortunately, you have to buy all 3 sets to get them. Alright, next we have Sam the Eagle, who I love. I love this silly band. It's so good. I mean, the shape is perfect and distinct, and it's just so very Sam. And I've never seen this pose of Sam anywhere, so it's very novel to see that. I really, really like this one. I don't know who is going to want to wear a Sam Eagle silly band, because I know that Sam Eagle would not want to wear a Sam Eagle silly band. So it's hard to say. Alright, and finally we have Sweetums, who is looking tough, I guess. He's just sort of standing there. I think this is one of the only stock photos of Sweetums that Disney has, so they just sort of ran with it. It sort of just looks like a lump. I mean, there's nothing distinguishable as Sweetums except for the feet, which even then, it doesn't really look like much. Not a fan of Sweetums, but I don't know what else they really could have done to make it look more like Sweetums. So, in conclusion, Muppet fans, there are the silly bands. Here they are again. Woo! And, I recommend them. I mean, if you have kids who collect these crazy things, buy them for them. I mean, they're sure to appreciate them. You're sure to appreciate them. The only problem I have is that the likenesses just aren't really there unless you know they're supposed to be there. E.g. Statler, Waldorf, Sweetums, Bunsen, Rolf. I don't know. I mean, they look good, they're just not the best. But I mean, they're silly bands, they're not Disney's big marketing push for the Muppets, so we don't really have to worry all that much. So with that, Muppet fans, we come to the end of my first ever video product review, and have a Muppety day. We'll see you next time on the Muppet Mindset YouTube channel.
Quack, quack, quack.